It's good to see you guys. Excited for this week. There's some good energy and confidence right now with the team. For sure, they see the challenge ahead with a really strong Houston team. I want to say defensively, particularly, their front is probably the best that we've played or that we're going to play. You just look at the individual playmakers there and how life is made difficult, whether you're trying to run it or throw it. And so that jumps off the screen when you watch it. And then, offensively, the skill players they have, whether it's quarterback or running back or, at receiver, a lot of speed and shiftiness. I think special teams has always been a big emphasis for their coach and just throughout the history of the thing, and it's the same now. And so a lot of dangerous weapons that they have that when you watch the film, you can see their competitiveness and their belief. And, with it being a night game and just all of it, I know that it's going to be a tough opponent. Our guys see that from the beginning, and so we'll be prepared for that. Take any questions that you guys have.
Dave, congrats on getting the bowl eligibility. Do you guys as a team or as a staff talk at all about maybe improving what bowl you could go to, or talk about the possibilities at all?
No.
How cool is it that these guys are going to get an extra game?
I think it's there's a bunch of dudes there that have just been through a lot of adversity, pressure, disappointment. I think anytime you go through that, you want to. I mean, the easiest thing to do is to quit. It's just to walk away from it and just why am I doing this? Why this? And so to having not done that, and to continue to fight through, and then to I think of offensive linemen in this regard particularly, now have success and have the tables turned, or you have flipped the tables. I think that's pretty cool. And so to have another game and to celebrate all that's pretty neat.
Coach, how good does it feel to have, Mac and the administration have your back a little bit here? And what do you want to see out of these last two games and then bowl game leading into next year?
Well, I mean, I feel like they've had my back the whole way, and I think particularly probably no more particular year than this year from the beginning of the year, whether it's the investment, the support, our ability to get into the portal the way that we have, and our ability to be real competitive in recruiting. I think all of those things are a result of support, and so this is a special job because you're way supported in that area, and there's great leadership, and I'm blessed.
Dave, on the defensive side, obviously disappointed with maybe how that second quarter ended. Mm-hmm. Are there some specific things that you would try to work on this week?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of things to work on. It's one of those things to where there gets to be a part of the year where you kind of are who you are, and so you have to build I was trying to say that in the right way. I was pretty pissed on Saturday night last time I was talking, and so when you'd like to get better by leaps and bounds and miles, but it's a fight to get better by an inch. It's a straight fight. There's a third down call, for example. There was a fourth down call, and a call goes out. There's 11 guys out there. There's one guy that did not get the call, and he happened to bail, and they throw a slant, and it's there, and that's never happened in practice. That's never happened in a deal. But here you go, the most critical point of the game. It's fourth and whatever, and 10 guys get a call, one guy doesn't, and so. I think when you're in a world where that type of stuff happens, you're fighting for every inch that there is to get better. And so I think, to not be discouraged and to continue to fight for that inch and to believe that you're going to get it and And all of that is the most important thing, because it ain't going to be like this. It's going to be like this. I think probably the game on Saturday is a good example of that. I wish that it would be way prettier than what it is, but it's you got a new baby. It's an ugly baby. Gotta love it nonetheless.
Have you followed Willie Fritz's career, and are you impressed with what
Yeah.
they've done his first year?
Yeah, you could tell the guys believe. You could tell that they fundamentally have improved as the year's gone on. He's done a great job, particularly again defensively, bringing a lot of our boys who were with him at his previous stop, and they've really made an impact, and way impressed. But overall, throughout the team, you could tell that they play hard. They're winning the game or they're losing the game. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the third or fourth quarter, and they're playing as hard or harder than when they started the game. That's the ultimate credit right there. These boys play hard. So it jumps off the screen when you watch it.
Coach, with the excitement of qualifying for a bowl game, what do you kind of tell your players to kind of get them locked in, knowing that there's still more season left?
Yeah, no, that I don't think that's an issue. I think watching Houston, and they've watched Houston on TV the last couple weeks, and they have a lot of friends that are on that team, and there's a few coaches that they know that are on that staff, and so they're fully aware of how dangerous that team is and what they're capable of, and what we have ahead of us all depends on one step at a time. And so Houston's a dangerous team. They've got all my respect and the team's respect.
How is Carl feeling? How close is he to playing, and what's his status this
Yeah,
week?
he's having surgery on his meniscus, so he's gonna be out. We hopefully will have him for the bowl game. And so that the depth there is being tested right now.
Obviously, another huge game for Bryce, and just in kind of his emergence over this back half of this season, what's kind of been the biggest thing that stood out to you?
His ability to rise to the occasion. I think it's the critical moments. I think these last couple of games show it, where there's some momentum, and we're getting to where we got to have it plays, and he's running over a guy, dragging another guy, and the O-line sees it, and then they're pushing the pile. That's happened a couple times, and I think he's the instigator there, and just his emotional content and his care factor and all of that just is on display when you need it most, so it's good to have.
Corey Gordon has had some good plays throughout this year. Can you talk a little bit about his development and what you've seen from him?
Yeah, well, he played nickel in the game, and so we lost Carl about midweek, and so he wasn't really playing any nickel prior to that. So I think his first day was Thursday, playing nickel, and so it's a fair amount to kind of go through. And I think you look at the game, the very first play of the game, West Virginia runs their number one motion that they've run throughout their season, and that's a motion that CG has to run with, and he doesn't run with it, and is wide open, and so I mean, he battles through all of that stuff, and what's cool about it is on the flip of all of those things, he makes plays when there's an opportunity to make a play, and he was throwing his shoulder in there on the line of scrimmage with some tackle, OT counters and all this other thing, and then to make a play in the ball on the air, when the ball is in the air, rather, is something that's much needed, and he can give that to us.
Hey, what was that flight home like? I mean, obviously a big win, a historic win, first one in Morgantown.
Yeah, it's for whatever reason, I need to talk to Grigas about it, but on our plane rides home at night, we've had, with Tech too, and maybe this needs to continue for the bowl, I guess, wherever it is, but we don't have the TVs on our plane when we come back. So, I mean, you have your phones and things, but you don't have the ability to watch all the games, so you have to be able to just get your that's one of the things about playing and then going home is that you can, or on the plane, that you can watch all the different games and see how they go. And Max sits in front where I am, and he's got all of his games going on, all the different devices, watching them, and so it'd be nice to have that ability. And a couple guys were watching the fight when the fight was going on too, and so yeah, I remember that. I remember guys feeling like we're coming, like this is not the end, but here we go, and so that's a cool feeling to have.
On those lines, Dave, how gratifying is it as a head coach to see your team improve as the season goes on and be playing your best football in November?
Yeah, it's, that to me goes all the way back to December and January of this past, beginning of the year. The emphasis from the very beginning has just been on football. And I struggled with that a little bit. I mean, that's really what this job entails. And so I've struggled for that 100% all the way. And, it hasn't really been that way previous. And so, I mean, we're a completely different team. And I'm probably a different person because of that emphasis. And I think you're seeing the results of it.
Dave, with just 2 games left, are there any guys who've been injured most of the year that you're looking at red shirts with, like maybe Kendrick Simpkins or Jacquez Evans?
I don't know. It's one of those things to where those things are available. I think there's guys that are still trying to push to get back. I think there's others just of the two. I think there's both ways of maybe looking for a red shirt. So I think those discussions still have to be made in terms of what next year's roster looks like. And I think when you're in the portal and you're looking, I look at what an impact Michael Trigg made to our team, what an impact Ashton Hawkins made to our team, and so you'd like to be able to make those types of impacts, and you want to be able to have offers and scholarships for guys that make those types of impact.
Feels like week in, week out, there's been upsets in the Big 12, especially the last few weeks. Just kind of what do you make of the depth of this conference that it seems like pretty much, any given week, one of the 16 teams can beat the other?
Yeah, I think you said it. I think it's just very difficult. There's really not, outside of Colorado, they probably have 2 guys that fit this description. I think in some of the other leagues, when I was in the SEC, there'd be guys where just like no one can cover this guy, no one can block this guy, and it became, was a Hoosiers, Jimmy Chitwood and clear the floor and all of that. And so there's some of that with Colorado for sure. But outside of that, you've got there's teams with really, really good players, but not that level of it, where everyone else is kind of the same. And is it at home? Is it away? Right? Is it an injury deal? Is it a schematic thing? I think the coaching in our league is as strong as any other league. I'd put our coaching versus any league just because of that factor, that so much of it's the same. And it's so balanced that you're looking for all types of schematic advantages. And so it's very difficult. It's very difficult. The 4 quarters to be where you need to be is difficult to do.
Coach, going back to what you said just about the new team mentality that you felt, it's been talked about many times about how that Iowa State game was really pivotal for you guys. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like maybe the reason you're able to clean the slate and look ahead so clearly at the next task is because you guys felt overlooked at that point?
When I remember the Iowa State game, I just it was a pretty brutal feeling. But more than that though, I think everyone knew we were a good team, and everyone knew we're way better than this. And it's like, when are we going to stop finding ways to lose? I think that was the thing. So I know what's hard is when you want to compare. So you want to compare it to last year, and it's from top to bottom, inside out, and all around. It's a completely different team. I mean, where the emphasis is, how it was built, completely different in every way. And so whereas last year's team maybe would have some of those questions of, hey, are we good enough? Can we do this? What are we doing? This year's team never blinked. And so you could feel that more than anything.
You talked about getting the math right when you're facing a running quarterback. I don't know if that was the issue Saturday, but how important is it facing a guy like this to get that math right?
Yeah, I think for the majority of for most of it, our fits were there. The issue, I met with the team this morning, and for example, there's a counter play that we saw. They ran it, West Virginia ran it about 5 times, and they're pulling people, and the quarterback's there, and we've got the people there, and we're all in the spots, and it's a 5-yard gain, and it just can't be that. That play should be a 2-yard gain or a 3-yard gain. I think that was the difference, and so to get that, we're talking about inches, or yards in this case, but it's, hey, I see the formation, I have a recognition of it, my eyes are on my key moves, I anticipate it, he moves, I trigger, my footwork's clean. There's a couple examples of our safeties, and it's a run, and they're this way and they're that way, and they almost spin around. Thankfully they didn't, and then they go forward. And if you do all of that, it's a 5-yard gain, And so those are things that we can control. Those are things that I need to coach better, and we need to coach better, and you can go from a 5-yard gain to a 2-yard gain. But, what we put on tape versus quarterback run, these next 2 weeks, that's all we're going to see, And so, what you ask for it, you're going to get it, and it's coming Saturday with Houston for sure.
With some of that, that depth being tested in the defensive backs, are there any kind of younger players that are stepping up and stepping into roles they're not used to? I think I saw Jacob Redding out there a bunch against.
He would be the one, yeah. I think he started to make his move on special teams, and he's starting now on a few teams and performing really well. He can run and jump and do all those things, and he can, think on the move too and make the right calls and get everyone where they need to be. And so I think he's emerging, man. I think it's pretty. I'm excited about him and just his athleticism, and then the dog that he has too, And so there's an opportunity on Saturday for him. It's going to be a bigger one here coming up. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.